کاوش مدیا.
Both Iran and Venezuela are currently being sanctioned by the U.S. They are effectively on America's naughty list, if you will. If American allies aren't allowed to do business with either country, what's the problem with them doing business with one another?
Well, it would be pirates in the Caribbean, and not the pretty Johnny Depp type of pirates, but the ugly Mike Pompeo pirates of the Caribbean. It's an act of war which is evidently being contemplated here. And indeed, the blockading of another country's ports, in this case Venezuela, is literally, legally, an act of war. And so the United States better calibrate, especially in the run-up to a presidential election, that these are not countries with anything to lose. And they are very likely to retaliate in the most embarrassing way possible to the United States if any interference in this entirely legal exchange between Iran and Venezuela takes place. There are no sanctions between Iran and Venezuela, and no power on earth, not even Mike Pompeo, can will it to be otherwise.
And our Mike Maloof, these tankers, they are carrying about 175,000 metric tons of gas and similar products. They're warning the U.S. that they'd better not give them a hard time passing through the Caribbean, or else what? I mean, just a few weeks ago, the U.S. Navy accused Iranian boats and some ships of conducting dangerous and provocative behavior along the Persian Gulf waters.
Well, again, Iran is in a position to counter what the United States is doing. It could increase its surveillance, if you will, of U.S. shipping in that region, in the Persian Gulf. It could also block the straits if the United States took provocative action of actually blockading, if you will, against Iranian ships. I would agree with George that this is a very, very serious development. Not even the EU, which has certain sanctions against even Venezuela, only in certain limited areas, does not sanction against Iran and Venezuela having legitimate trade, as is going on right now with the shipment of this gasoline. And it's also strictly economic. And so the United States, once again, is really treading on very thin legal ice, as well as trying to actually keep a spotlight on another problem area that it just refuses to let up on. And I think it's going to create a real problem for us in the end.
But I've got to tell you that if the United States seizes or blocks these tankers, Iran will do the same in the Persian Gulf. They will blockade other tankers. They will seize them. They will attack them. And some of those might be American. And then we'll be right back into the kind of verge of war, the brink of all-out war that we were a couple of months ago when the United States assassinated the General Soleimani.
آنچه در مورد ما میگویند